What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be another big one. We will be installing a new motor in the Subaru, installing the bumper, installing the winch, finishing up the wiring, and at the end we're going to go out and test it out, so stick around. Now before we get started, let's talk about winching capacity and what size winch you should pick for your vehicle. As a rule of thumb, you want at least 30% pulling power more than your vehicle weighs. 50% is what you really want to be at. 30% I would say is probably minimum. So my Subaru weighs about 3,000 pounds with all the stuff I have in it and me in it and everything. We're going to go 3,500 pounds. So 30% above 3,500 pounds is 4,550 pounds, and 50% above 3,500 pounds is 5,250 pounds, which puts me well within the range of a usable size pulling power winch for the weight of the Subaru, and it should be totally fine. The winch rating itself is rated based on one layer of cable on the winch drum. So you got to think of the winch drum as another gear itself. So as you are wrapping more rope onto that, the taller the gear is, which makes it more difficult for the motor and everything to work. So on this winch, the 5,500 pound weight rating is with one layer on the drum of rope wrapped around it. So as soon as you get to that second layer of drum, your winching power diminishes about 20% as a rule of thumb. And as you stack third layer, it's about 10% as you go up. That's another thing to think about when you're setting up and getting everything ready, if you might want to use a snatch block or not, depending on how much rope you have to use. So if you are not using very much rope and you have a lot of layers still wrapped on that drum and you it's a tough pull and it's short, you might want to use a snatch block because your pulling power is going to be significantly diminished because you have a lot of rope wrapped onto that, and the diameter of the drum is larger, changing the gear ratio basically of how everything operates, which is going to reduce your pulling power. So another thing to think about when you are setting up and rigging your recoveries. Now before I go and install the winch and the bumper and everything, I'm going to start going through the wiring. I have some of the wiring here, a lot of it's on the Subaru already because I was mocking it up. It has step-by-step instructions that shows you which wire goes where, which is really easy. I mean, it's pretty basic stuff. It's a little more complicated than a regular winch because that control box solenoid is separate, so I need to find a place to mount that and the battery disconnect and then run all these wires. Back here at the firewall, I found a factory threaded hole right here that had a plug in it, so I took the plug out and I mounted my solenoid right here on the firewall. So this is going to have the ground wire, which this one, ground wire is going directly to the battery. Power wire here is connected to that through this shutoff switch, and then this goes to the battery. So direct battery power to the shutoff switch and then to the solenoid itself. This red wire, which is different than any other winch I've installed, has to be installed to power in order for the winch to work. So it says to install it to ignition power, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to power it directly to the battery so it will work, and I can use it when the key is not on. And then from the solenoid here, we have our connector for our interior switch, and then we also have our actual plug-in winch controller that'll go right here. So onto the interior. I spent a bunch of time trying to make this work right here, but the size of it and the angle, these actually go in at an angle, and I was not able to make this slide in there and stay in there. And then once I got it in there, I wasn't able to push the switch because it was blocking it. So I went over to the center console right here, and there's another one of these coin holders right here. And nobody uses these. I don't know why they're here, but this fits perfectly in here. And I used my carbide bit on my little whizzy wheel here and ground this out. A Dremel tool or something like that would work just as well. But I was able to grind this out. Not very much, just a little bit of clearancing. And this guy goes right there. So now we got lots of clearance, looks good. And so now I just have to take the connector and the wiring that goes from this and make it run through here, through the firewall, and then to the connector. Hopefully it is long enough. So I routed the wire through this hole, and it's super easy. I just popped it out through here and running it through this side of the center console. There is a piece in the firewall that's super easy to get to and super easy to go, and it's gonna pop through right there. So there's the wire coming through the grommet, and it goes to this connector right here, which kind of goes to this rat's nest here because there's a lot of wiring. And then this guy right here is our connector. So we are all hooked up, and we should be able to use the interior switch, and it should all work. With everything done, wiring's done, everything is operating as it should. Unlike the 12K winch, the Badland Apex 12K winch that's on my Jeep, this synthetic line is not pre-tensioned, which means that we're gonna have to unspool it all the way out and then spool it back in under a load. Whew, those things are bright. They look good. Make my headlights look like they need to be upgraded here. To test this thing, I'm going to hook up this winch to my Jeep down here. And this is a hill. This is a pretty decent hill right here. And we are going to test how strong the bumper and the winch is. So the Jeep weighs about 4,600 pounds. I know that because we've weighed it before. And up a hill, I'll put it in neutral. And this 5,500, we are on the second drum, so we're losing 20% of our pulling power. On paper, it should be about 4,400 pounds pulling power. So I'm actually a little bit worried about this, to be honest, with the bumper and the unibody, and we will see. And I'm only using the winch on my Jeep to make sure that it doesn't, if something breaks, it's not going to just roll back down the hill into the road, into my neighbor's fence. So starting out, this pull was 100 pounds more than what it's rated for. And as it started going, it started wrapping around that one side of the drum, and I was not going to get in there to try and guide it for safety reasons. So it started bunching up on one side, and I stopped. So we pulled this thing 16 feet up a 25% grade with a winch that is not rated for that amount of weight. So I think overall, it did really well. The bumper flexed a bunch. You could see it. Hopefully you can see it in the video. I haven't reviewed it yet. I could see it in real life. The whole bumper was flexing at the winch. I could see the winch moving and coming back. And it didn't bend. It's in the exact same spot it was. It looks great. It still works. The winch didn't seem to bog down at all. So I'm really confident that if I get the Subaru stuck and it's not like buried where we're talking like double the weight, triple the weight, we're going to be snatch blocking at that point. Anyways, it worked beyond what I expected to do, and I'm really happy with it. That is going to be it for this video, guys. Make sure you check out Harbor Freight Tools. I will leave a link in the description to this winch. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I will be getting back to the Jeep here very soon now that I have an engine in the Subaru and everything is back to normal. If you want to follow me on social media, I am at MuddyBeards4x4. We've got a website, muddybeards4x4.com. We got shirts, stickers, stuff like that. Got an Amazon store. Click the link, it'll be on the website in the description. Also, if you haven't checked out Muddy Beards Racing, it's my new YouTube channel that I put all of my RX-7 diesel swap stuff is going to be going on that channel. Make sure you go over and subscribe to Muddy Beards Racing. That link will also be in the description. And until next time, guys, we will see you on the trail.